Well, hello, good morning, and welcome to the 2020 FIA World Rallycross Championship. We are, as the sign says, at the Neste World RX of Riga. We're in Latvia. Welcome, thanks for joining us. It's a beautiful sunny day, a little bit chilly up here near the Baltic coast, and the grid is getting ready for the field to start racing today. Thanks for joining us on the live stream. For the first time this year, we do have some spectators in the grandstands, which is really nice to see, but I know a lot of you watching at home would have liked to have been here, and we're sorry about that, but hopefully you can follow the whole live stream. Today is an entire round of the championship for World RX. We've also got URX here and Project E. Let's have a look at the context of where we've been and where we're going. So this is the third of our back-to-back double headers. We've had Sweden, then Finland, and now we're in Latvia for rounds 5 and 6 today and tomorrow. Then we go to Spain, Belgium and Germany, all still to come. So yes, round 5 today, round 6 tomorrow for World RX. And here we are. We've travelled over the Gulf of Finland and Gulf of Riga. We're on the edge of the Baltic in the capital city of Latvia. And what a great setting it is for World Rallycross. All of the action is good. So let us know where you're watching from, who you're rooting for this weekend. And make sure you share this as widely as you can, because we'll bring you every session of qualifying live, free wherever you are, and then we have the semis and the finals later in our usual television package. Now the cars, if we have a look around here, are starting to build up. You might see a few familiar cars there. Liam Doran, Johan Kristoffersson, who've had sort of almost diametrically opposite fortunes so far this season. If you've missed any of the action so far this year, let's have a quick catch up with what happened last time out in Finland. No program sound, Richie.
Finland saw a welcome return to the race calendar for rounds 3 and 4 as World RX headed back to Kuvula for the first time in 6 years. Unfamiliar surroundings, but a familiar face on the top step as Johan Kristoffersson took a clean sweep on Saturday, winning all 3 qualifying sessions and dominating the final. The rest of the grid were fearing a repeat on Sunday, and then the rain came. Qualifying for the second half of the doubleheader turned into survival of the fittest, as track conditions gave us some epic action that would have had the crowd on their feet. There was contact aplenty. Liam Doran's bad luck continued. The odd roll through a gravel trap. Even Johan struggled at times. Home hero Tanaco GRX's Niklas Gronholm looked best equipped to challenge the Super Swede, and come the final, Gronholm wrestled the lead from Kristoffersson at turn 1. Then the battle was on. Matthias Ekström joined the fight, but with the home hero holding strong, despite 2 former champions in his mirrors and his bumper, it all came down to joker strategy. Johan jokered early and was immediately on the back bumpers of the lead too. It looked like he called it right. The final half lap was as tense as it gets. Gronholm and Ekström jokered and the win looked set up for Kristoffersson. But incredibly, the merge saw 4 cars around the last corner, all fighting for the win. When the mud settled, it was Gronholm who took his hardest fought victory to date, while teammate Tim Azyanov edged out Kristoffersson to make it a GRX double podium. Being on the team's home soil made it all the sweeter.
So there you are, you're fully up to speed, and now we've got our current world champion and former double world champion, both Swedes obviously. Sorry to interrupt your conversation, gentlemen. What will you be discussing before the first session of qualifying between you two?
Tennis World Championship 2019 was on the topic right now.
And what was your assessment of it?
No, we just discussed tire strategy back and forward, and Timmy said he had 3 new tires for the final in South Africa. So yeah.
His World Johan's World Championship is not as exciting to talk about. It's like, did he win here? Yeah, of course.
And is it going to happen again? That must be also interesting. Is it going to happen again or can you match him this weekend?
Yeah, we're doing our best. So we spent 3 days testing before this, and it's feeling good. The changes we made, I had a really good feeling in practice. So also I didn't do so many laps, so hopefully I have some better tires in the race now. But that's a little thing. That's the details. So yeah, we see how the race plays out. First of all, we have to have a good launch and a good Q1, and then we take it from there.
And Johan, it's nice to see spectators again, and the conditions are perfect. You know, no rain, which is unusual for Riga.
Well, I mean, I think I've never been to Riga before from the races I've been to without rain, so it will be strange feeling to don't have rain for 2 days. But yeah, let's see what we will get. But yeah, like Timmy said, first of all, it's important to have a good Q1. I think we have a good possibilities in our heat. We are 4 quick guys, so should be okay. Should be possible for everyone to have a clean race, and then obviously it's nice to have the spectators here, and hopefully we can put on a good show for them.
I'm sure you will, gentlemen. Fight fair, but fight good. Thanks, guys. So let's have a little look over here. Here are the guys lining up. There's Andreas Bakkerud, Rennie Munich, Robin Larsson over there. Christian Zarbo is back. We have a quick word, Andreas. How are you feeling before Q1?
Well, I feel pretty good. Obviously, I would like to go faster, but it's hard out there. You know, I was hoping to go a little bit faster for sure, but. Yeah, I think we're dialing in everything now, and hopefully we can have a good Q1. You know, have a good start of the weekend is always important. So it's all about the start. I've bugged both of my starts, so I'm a bit like, I need to get it right, you know.
But today is a good day. Why?
Because it's a race day. Yeah.
Have a good one, Andreas. Okay.
And for all of you guys wondering, I am doing backward life again.
Yay, that's great news. So as well as being on our YouTube channel to watch the live streams, make sure you watch Andreas's reports, are always entertaining. Well, look, new tyres going on Rennie Munich's car, cars pulling up to the pre-grid to do their tyre cleaning and pre-launch. So it must be time to send you up to the commentary booth with Andrew Coley and Dan Rook.
Thank you, Neil. There is the office. I can give you a little wave out the end. There it is, look. It's the tiny bit of window so we can see the start. We have black cloths up around the back of us so that we don't have too much sunlight in here. The spotters are actually in the tower with us this weekend, but only one from each team. They're distanced at a certain distance. That's because we are in what's called FIA Scenario 2. So we were in the worst scenario before, meaning no fans, no spotters in the tower. What you've got here is 2 separate areas. So the fans, as you can see, do not have to wear masks. Just so you guys at home know, Latvia has the lowest number per 100,000 population of COVID infections in Europe at the moment. They've done brilliantly, and that's why we've all had 2 COVID tests to come here. One before we left and one on arrival. Weren't allowed to leave the hotel until you got the results. That's how you got your accreditation. So that area is a public area. The area in which the paddock is in, top left of your picture, where the spotters tower is, we are all separated by barriers, so we do not mix with the public, and we have to wear masks when we're in our areas, apart from where we're in our working bubble with you know, your partner who you're working with. So it's a slightly different scenario. Just wanted you all to understand at home where we are and not be asking questions about it. There's only 3,000 fans allowed in here to maintain social distancing. Normally that straight there you can see has a huge grandstand on it with several thousand people in it, cheering, going mad. We have tens of thousands of fans here on a normal race weekend, only 3,000 permitted this weekend. There they are, looking forward to some action. Let's take a look at the driver standings as we are coming into round 5. Any moment now, we'll get those fired in for you. There you go, Johan Kristoffersson leading on 111 points. Then it's Ekström, Gronholm, Timmy Hansen, Kevin Hansen, Robin Larsson. So look, 5 Swedes in the top 6. Just the Finn Niklas Gronholm in there fighting for some Finnish honour. Of course, he got the win last time in round 4. Timo Scheider's had a great start to his season. Andreas Bakkerud not so much, but they did do a test this week. The Hansens have tested as well. Team standings. We can take a look at where everybody is in terms of their relative performance. Now remember, Kristoffersson is running on his own, so he doesn't score team points. At the moment, the standings are led by KYB Team JC, which is, of course, Matthias Ekström and Robin Larsson. Team Hansen, about 20-ish points, 19 points behind, and then GRX Tanako. So those 3, I think, are the teams which you should be looking for taking the big trophy at the end of the year. We are, of course, at this fantastic circuit at the Bikinieki Sports Complex. It's an FIA-registered GT track here in Latvia, and we've got this brilliant World Rallycross track. Let's take a look at the stats for that. Been on the calendar, I think, since 2016. 1,300 metres, about 50 metres longer on the Joker lap. 60% asphalt, 40% dirt. But it's important to note that the dirt is very abrasive, doesn't cut up, it's super smooth, not loose at all. So it's going to be very much a tyre game this weekend. There you can see cars on the grid already. Q1 about to get underway. The draw for this was done yesterday, and we'll run through who chose where as we get into the racing. Let's get going then, shall we? Round 5 of the FIA World Rallycross Championship. Q1 race 1 from day 1 in Latvia. Liam Doran on the pole, then Neste, the Latvian racing at home with ES Motorsport, their first outing this year. And Tom Markland, and the winner of the last round, Niklas Gronholm. I'm Andrew Coley, joining me on commentary as always, Dan Rook. Look at that, fantastic shot. That's Tom up our crane. That's going to give us a good idea of who gets away first. Lights are on the right-hand side of your screen, halfway up. You can see in the background the big grandstands which are down at turn 1 of the GT track here, which actually runs in the opposite direction. It's a Soviet-era track. Right, Doran off the line nicely on the inside line. Neste is going backwards. Gronholm alongside Doran on the way to turn 1. Gronholm shuts the door, but contact from Liam, only a tiny little nudge. Liam looking to get alongside. Niklas, though, with a pretty clean hole shot here. Liam right up behind in the McGann, and the McGann should go well here. High grip, track and smooth. Liam looks up the inside on the run to the hairpin. Tries to stick the nose in. Can't quite get there, though, so it's Gronholm leading Doran.
Yeah, Gronholm with a very good start there, wasn't it? Just hooked it up on the outside, and that just shows that pole position isn't necessarily the best place here. You know, Liam had a good start as well, but Gronholm able to hang it around the outside of turn 1, get the cut in for turn 2. It's Markland.
Problem for Markland, that's broken, 100%. Surely that's not a mistake mid-corner, Dan. That just snapped and went. Liam's gone joker immediately, so Liam feels he has the pace, and it did look that way. Is that a problem for Markland?
Yeah, I think it was drive shaft gone for Markland. You could see the rear wheels spinning up, but nothing happening on the front end of the car. So a disaster already for GCK there.
I know they were hoping to have solved some of those issues in between events, but that's not the way they would have wanted to kick things off. Gronholm backs it into turn 3. Dan, this turn 3 is so committed. Yeah,
really fast, isn't it? The run into there. They're carrying lots of speed off of turn 2. You can see Markland limping around there. But yeah, turn 3, they're carrying big speed in there. We've seen a lot of people run off in the past and run into the tyre barrier on the outside, even using some of the grass on the outside of the corner there as well. So people really find the limits there. I think early doors, you can see the track is still shady in some places, so they're not going to be pushing overly hard as they will do as it comes to the final, because you still need the track to rubber in a little bit and get that bit more grip.
You see a bit of resurfacing on the 2 jumps on the racing line on the way up. Fantastic, very high shot from Tom. Neste, 2.3 seconds off the back. Liam Doran only 1.7 behind him. So Doran, though, losing time to Gronholm. I think Gronholm's doing 49.1s. Ah, he's not far off, is he? 49.2. It's only a tenth of a second. I saw it had gone up to 4. It's gone up again by another tenth. So Gronholm just gapping Liam. And, of course, Liam, the leading car that's joker. Markland is joker, but he's miles off the back, I'm afraid, with another issue. Little nip on the handbrake from Gronholm. See how close he is to the Armco. That is critical, isn't it, to lap time, that hairpin?
Yeah, if you run a little bit too wide there, you're just going to be out in the dirty stuff, because, of course, we know how abrasive the loose section is here, but when you run off of the racing line, you run into all the loose stuff. As Liam on the joker lap merge has pipped Neste there, so Liam gaining up a place. The question is now Gronholm in front.
4.4. Niklas checking out slightly, a 49.0 to a 49.4, so maybe a mistake from Liam on that last lap, because they have been around a tenth apart. I mean, Gronholm went a tenth quicker, but Liam's gone 2 tenths slower, Dan.
Yeah, so Liam unfortunately dropping back a little bit here, but still going to be a good time. We saw Niklas in free practice putting the lap times in. He was right up there, so I'm sure he's not going to be too disheartened. At least he's finished the qualifying session.
He'd be over the moon if he sees the checker flag. Yesterday he was joking about it and got some stick about it in the driver draw. Gronholm round the outside. That's the joker lap, which switches to the inside line for the last corner. Here comes Niklas now. Nicely done with the Hyundai. But Liam not so far behind. So Gronholm is the benchmark at 3:24.6. And Liam Doran just 1.9 seconds behind. Where will that see them at the end of this session? So driver draw yesterday, it was interesting that all of the inside line went first of all. So normally track evolution means that the drivers want to be in a later race because they think the lap times will be quicker. Here, because you can see the gravel is super abrasive, not very loose, the drivers weren't so fussed about being in a late race. There's that resurfacing I was talking about. You can see on the left side and on the landing. Markland coming round to finish the race, and that will trigger our results for us. Here he comes. Not a great start to his weekend. I think he will be pretty unhappy. Had a chat with him yesterday. I say they were hoping for a better run. Liam's has gone better, but not Anton's. Niklas Gronholm takes it with a 3:24.6 from Liam Doran, Rainy Snittish and Anton Markland with a technical issue. So that was the start. Nittish didn't quite get it right. I know Rainis have been working on starts. He said they've been struggling with traction a little bit off the start. They tested at Kuvula for at least a day, maybe 2 days after we left there. Doran here looking super quick, but Liam, Dan, he's one of those drivers who's got super feel immediately. We've seen him do a crazy outlap at nearly every circuit in the championship. He's just got that feel and may be able to just grab the car straight away and push. Yeah, there's not too many people out there that are able to do that, are we? We're going to watch a background watch for Markland. I mean, he got into the back of Liam, didn't he? But only a tiny bit. That broke 100% on the way into the corner, didn't it? Yeah, you could see he didn't have any control of it off the landing of the jump. No, so bit of a shocker for Markland. Good start for Gronholm, but how fast was that?
Niklas, a great start to the day. How was it?
It was quite okay. I got a hit in turn 1, but I was expecting it, so it was okay. But other than that, it was quite good. Two last laps were on point. The first two laps I was doing some small mistakes and going wide a bit. But yeah, good start of the day.
Well, I'd love to know what you said, but unfortunately I couldn't really hear him, Dan, could you? No, all I could hear was engine and PA system in the background, yeah. So we'll get working on that. Apologies, guys. Quite okay, I'm sure he said at some point, but that's pretty standard for Niklas anyway, isn't it? I saw Marcus yesterday, and he just arrived and just had his second COVID test. I was like, how are you? Yeah, I'm okay. I said, you quite okay? He goes, yeah, quite okay, and laughed. So they're very funny. So yeah, we were saying, inside line yesterday got picked immediately by everybody. So Kristoffersen was early in the draw, and you can see he's gone inside here. Got 3 4-car races and then a 5-car race. And we'll talk about Ekstrom in the last race in a minute. But Larson here has gone right on the outside. Now, they were confident that slot number 4's got good grip, Dan. And go on. I watched them in there when they were out for practice this morning. And just then as well, they do their dummy start off from the left, go diagonally into their grid slot. Interesting. So they've definitely got some tactics at play being on the outside of the grid there. Q1 race 2. Johan Kristoffersen on the inside. I say he was early in the draw yesterday. Gunnar Schischerit taking slot 2, then Timmy Hansen in 3 and Larson in 4. So Hansen didn't have many slots left. Larson and him were both pretty late in the draw. I say Robin wanted to be on the outside and was happy that he wouldn't be able to get squeezed from there. But we also spoke about whether or not they lost the start. And I don't mean lose it on purpose, but if you don't get it, if you don't win it, do you slot yourself in and try and get the inside of everyone into turn 1? Kristoffersen, we saw practicing his start this morning, and Hansen into turn 1. They both ran a bit deep on the brakes, really even start. Great start. Larson on the outside. Hansen gets straight into him. Then into Schischerit. Larson's gone all the way around the outside of Kristoffersen, but goes 2 sideways. Can't hold on, and Kristoffersen gets the whole shot back. Hansen slots into P2. Yeah, Larson there had to light the throttle up so he wasn't into the tyre barrier, but that just meant he carried too much speed. Now Hansen got deep. Yeah, Kristoffersen got deep there. Hansen had to look back up the inside of him. Yeah, so Hansen now piling the pressure on after not having the best of start. Kristoffersen back wheel out into the loose stuff, but somehow able to keep the nose tucked in on that car. That is just so versatile, the Polo. We know that. Into the hairpin now. Hansen tested, both the Hansens, Timmy and Kevin, tested between the events. Partly, I think, to blow out the cobwebs and the disappointment of the first couple of events not going quite how they thought it would. We know they've been working on the settings. There's that big curve that you apparently can't cut, that a World Rallycross car can just drive straight over the top of. Yeah, so much suspension travel in these cars, aren't there? There's not much they can't go over. Larson with that bit of contact. Interesting that Timmy got into Larson right off the start. I wasn't sure if Larson moved in on him or not. I mean, we'll see. Look how accurate both these guys are on that tyre barrier. That's what we're saying about the commitment there. You back the car in and then light the throttle up early, because it's actually a relatively long run down to the hairpin. Yeah, so carrying that momentum. Actually, the speed carry starts from the exit of turn 2, because you then want the momentum all the way through turn 3 and down to the hairpin. There's a bit of a game going on here, Dan. This is our current world champion chasing the double World Rallycross champion. Timmy proving here that he's got the pace to go with Johan. Interesting at the start that Larsson's move from P4 on the grid nearly paid off. He was unlucky. Even with the contact with Timmy, he got around the outside of him on the run to the first corner, didn't he? And then just dropped it on the brakes into turn 2. Fastest out of the day, Timmy Hansen. So Timmy going really quickly, Johan with a couple of carlings. Look at them backing it in here. Just beautifully on that balancing act.
Timmy, to me, looks a lot smoother than Johan here, but for some reason Johan's able to just pull it. You can see he's that little bit tighter on every single corner. You watch as they come over the jump into the hairpin now. Timmy has been, a fraction tighter to the inside of the corner. Let's watch now, see if it's any different this time around.
It's good on the brakes, doesn't it, the Peugeot? I mean, there is always the constant, but there, look how accurate he is.
He's so much tighter, isn't he? He's gone Joker lap now.
Hansen goes into the Joker lap now, so he's 0.5 down. On the inside, Kristoffersson will now come around the outside of the final corner. Now this is going to mean that Johan will be on the inside as he comes out and down. The tactics here are really important with the exit speed from the standard lap is higher than the exit speed from the Joker, but we've seen people mug each other off left and right. So you've got to decide, do you shut the door on the inside and compromise your exit speed, or do you gun it and hope they don't go up your inside? How do you deal with it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a hard one to decide, and you've got to kind of decipher between who you're racing up against, but Johan is going to be probably the most calculated person to work out whether he needs to back it up or just send it.
Big push. You can see there, Kristoffersson, big push through the left-hander. Here we go then, Johan Kristoffersson, double World Rallycross champion, into the Joker lap, in the Polo. Watch on the inside line for Timmy Hansen. Hansen in the Peugeot coming up over the jump now. Johan going to come in as close as he can to the wall. This is going to be super close between them at the line. Timmy Hansen going to come around with Johan going to block the inside. Doesn't need to. On the gas and away. Fantastic lap from Kristoffersson to the 3:23.6. So he goes quicker, but only by a second from Gronholm. So 0.902 faster. Timmy Hansen slots in just in front as well. So Kristoffersson and Hansen going to go to the top of the table in Q1. Decent battle between them. Johan Kristoffersson takes Q1 race 2, 3:23.6. Look, Timmy Hansen, Robin Larsson and Gulan Shisharit. Top of the table. Robin slotting to 4th. Didn't get to see Robin's ultimate pace there after the contact and then running deep in turn 2. Another look at the start from the side. Larsson's start was epic, wasn't it? And then we nug at the Polos. There, the contact, 3 bits of contact on the run to the first corner. And then did he get another nudge as he turned in across Kristoffersson? Maybe he did.
Yeah, potentially. And I think he just had to gas it. Otherwise, he was going to end up in the tyre barrier on the outside. The contact on the run down there, I think Timmy was just trying to give himself a little bit of space there, wasn't he? Trying to move over so he didn't get squeezed. And then, of course, ultimately, the knock-on effect onto Larsson there.
So good run by Johan Kristoffersson. You saw how hard he was pushing on that last lap and he just edged it a bit. Johan's already said this is very much a tyre game. Are either of these guys holding back a bit to save a bit of tyres? I don't know, we'll see.
Johan, the brakes are very hot. It looks like you were pushing there.
Yeah, I try to push as much as I can. I mean, Q1 is always quite important, so I had a good start, a little bit too much initial windscreen. Outside line was always fast here, so, but I managed to go through Q1 with a small contact with Robbie, but from there on, I just tried to drive my line. I did a few small mistakes, but yeah, I hopefully we're going to be enough for a good Q1 match.
Seems happy enough. One chap, this chap in the middle there is not looking. Facing the other way, Dan, what's he up to?
Maybe he's a bit upset. Maybe he's a Timmy fan.
He can't watch. He could be security, to be fair. We don't actually know. We don't need a crowd invasion. Yeah, even if there's only 3,000 of them, you know. Here we go. Race 3. Q1 on the line. Rennie Munich, Timo Timosyanov, Andreas Backrud and Christian Sabo. Sabo missed the last one, of course, because Rutkinen was with us in Finland. Rutkinen's been confirmed as driving in Spain for the Veratum team, Jani Parsonen's team. Parsonen handing the car over to Rutkinen to see if he can edge a bit of performance out of it. He's so impressive. So the Hyundais we know are fast. Backrud was looking good in free practice too. Good start, Andreas Backrud. Better start, Timo Timosyanov on the inside. Shuts the door on Rennie Munich. Backrud dives on the brake. Sabo going around the outside of Munich. Munich gets dumped to the back of the pack. It's Timosyanov from back Bakkerud. So Bakkerud really needs a good, clean weekend here, Dan. It's not great. Oh, look at Timmer sideways in turn 3. Got to get this one right, and he's doesn't want any issues. Yeah, Liam was clean. We saw that. Markland, it didn't quite work out. He's behind Timmer. It's going to be interesting to see what he does here.
Yeah, going to be really interesting. I mean, Timojanov was quite quick this morning in practice as well, so it's not like it's going to be held up too much here. They were all very sensible through the start there, I thought, as well, which is exactly what they needed for Q1.
So Sabo's gone Joker immediately. That's going to slot him in behind Munich. I think Bakkerud can't afford to drop in behind Munich. I think probably needs to wait a lap. Look how sideways. Look at the difference in driving style there. I noticed this morning. Bakkerud was really driving on the limit of understeer. You know what I mean? No, he wasn't sideways anywhere. He pushed the car into nearly every corner. Watch him through here, Dan. Talk us through it.
Yeah, so watch Timojanov. Timojanov's a bit like it as well this time round, but the lap before he was very sideways, wasn't he? And Bakkerud driving the car very much like a GT car. You can see
driving it really forward. You see what I mean? There's no oversteer in it at all. I noticed this in practice. It's pretty much push everywhere. When we say push, we mean understeer, but he's not at the point of Billy understeer where you're winding the lock on and just ploughing it through the corner. Look, it's just wait, really patient.
But when it's such a high grip track like this, as he's gone Joker lap now, when it's such a high grip track like this, you don't really need to drive it sideways.
Yeah.
Like when you go to a track like Sweden and Finland where the gravel's really loose, you can get away with it, but here...
Trying to cover off Sabo, look behind. Sabo going to look up the inside of Bakkerud, got a bit more exit speed. Andreas places the car perfectly. So actually when Bakkerud went there and Munich went with him, I think they were both covering off Sabo behind. Sabo had done a 49.4, which was quicker than the others were going. They'd done 50s as the outlap, so you can't really compare. 49.4 from Timojanov as well. So now it's about whether or not he can get onto Timmer's pace. 3.2. Not sure what the Joker Delta is really so far.
Yeah, I mean, we've not really done our job yet, have we? We haven't worked it out.
No, so it's still early in the weekend. Timojanov was a bit scrappy earlier on. Is he going to go? I thought he might go Joker now. I potentially would have done just to cover Andreas off. It's got to mind you, the gap's 3.5. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I mean, Andreas wasn't hounding him, was he? And now he's got Szabo for company, so he's going to have to keep looking in his rear mirrors instead of focusing on driving forwards.
Backwards gap, let's see if it stays pegged. Come on. Be nice to see a good weekend for a few of the people who've been struggling. I want to see some great racing. We've had some brilliant racing so far this season. Sundays in particular, everybody I think has been noting at home that Sunday finals have been really mega. Here the car's just crashing slightly as they go through the gravel section. Little nip on the bar again. There again you can hear just that noise. So Timojanov into the Joker. Bakkerud's got the gap down to 3.3. He's chased 2/10 out of it. Is it going to be enough to get the Russian? Andreas on the inside. He'll now swap to the outside for the last corner. I think Bakkerud's going to be close here. This is closer than it was between Hansen and Christophersen. Bakkerud goes around the outside. Timojanov pushed it wide. Super close. Timmer just holds on. Timojanov takes it by less than 1/10 of a second, but 3:27.0 is down in 6th place. He's behind the pace of Liam Doran. So Liam up in 5th. It's a good run for him. 3:27.0 confirmed for Timojanov. Look how close it was for Bakkerud. He could have maybe gone 1/10 quicker if Timmer hadn't been on the inside line, but really that's not the greatest pace compared to the previous runners. Great start Bakkerud, but Timmer, at this point, you know you've lost the start, don't you? And I guess he just wants to get in front of Munich.
Yeah, so you've got to look at damage limitation by that point, don't you? And we've done quite well to come out in P2. Of course, he had the second best start as well. You can see the driving style there. Timojanov back in the car and Andreas neat and tidy.
Yeah, again, look, the contrasting style just everywhere. He's really patient, isn't he? And one thing that will help with his tyre life during the course of the weekend, again, looking at Szabo in the background, look, even through turn 3, he's just got it hooked up and he's driving the car straight sideways from Timojanov. Remember, this is a real tyre fight here. Even with only 3 qualifying sessions, it can be the difference between a win or not. So Bakkerud's smooth, but on this occasion, they weren't that fast.
Timmer, you knew you were under pressure from Andreas. How was it?
Yeah, the start was good. Andreas was behind me quite close, and he was catching me every time. Like when I saw him on the tarmac places, he was behind me, and I think he's just losing on the jump, and that was that was putting me under the pressure, and I started to do some small mistakes, burning my tires, and I like third lap I have the really huge smoke from the right rear tire, and yeah, I think that's losing the time. But we need to see how to do it. The grip level is going high now. We need to set up again.
Final car pulling into the grid for the last race of Q1. It is Matthias Ekström. He will be the only man to start from slot number 5. The previous 3 races, all 4-car races, and Matthias, so this is the interesting thing, slot 1 and slot 2 had gone in all 4 races. Ekström came in to do the draw with me yesterday, and he goes, I'll take slot number 5 in race 4. And I was like, okay. And you know what he's like? He's very quiet about why he's done it. But that is absolutely, he was telling me that the team were on the phone, it was their choice. Maybe, but that would have been 100% calculated. Here we go, race 4, Q1, final race of the session. Łukasz Baciuszka back in the Clio on the inside. Kevin Hansen, Jani Parssinen, Timo Scheider and Matthias Ekström right out on slot number 5. So I asked Matthias, I said, right, what's the score then? Come on, why slot number 5? I said, have you got some data? You might remember if you've been watching the World Championship a long time, they used to measure the traction in the various grid slots. I wondered if it was that, I wasn't sure what, but he just goes, high 5, mate, that was it. See what he can do from the outside. Good start, Kristoffersen, good start. Kevin Hansen on the inside. Scheider going wide. Look at Ekström, super wide. Dives into the inside line, gets a little nudge from behind from Baciuszka, but holds on to P2. He had that plan right from the start. It's Kevin Hansen with the whole shot, but Ekström is right in behind him.
Yeah, and he got a fantastic start as well. You got to remember, nobody started from that grid slot, so you're not going to have the rubber laid down either, but made it work, and then he gave himself so much room on the outside.
He took the car really wide, like another 2-car widths out. He's such a calculated driver, he really is. Of course, been signed up by Cooper to do Extreme E next year. That's the performance brand of Seat, and he had to get their permission to come and race here. We're very grateful they gave it, because we want to see him in that championship fight. So he's here racing under his new contract with Cupra. KYB Team JC. He said also how much he wanted to support Joel Kristoffersen, the lovely bloke who runs their team. So Joel Kristoffersen, who runs this team, I was in Denmark for Rally X Nordic. He was up with OMSE repairing one of OMSE's cars that had been rolled. It was Linus Osman's car, it was rolled 4 times. And Joel Kristoffersen, who runs JC Team KYB, was up there helping repair it. What a great guy.
Yeah, it's brilliant, isn't it? I've seen stories about him across Instagram where he came in as a young lad as a mechanic and started from ground zero, really worked his way up.
Yeah, absolutely, and now running his own team with Matthias Ekström in it and with the support of Ekström. Good to see. Out to the outside, Ekström thinks he's got enough pace. Scheider goes with him. Baciuszka behind was 4.5 off, so he was 4.1 off the back of Ekström, and you can see he's going to come in clearly in front, right the way over the curve on the inside. Timmy Hansen, by the way, got a track marker warning. Oh yeah, Scheider on a go, so Scheider pulls off. So Scheider has had to pull off to the side of the circuit. He retires from Q1. Meanwhile, Kevin Hansen has a 3.4 second gap, and he's pushing hard to try and stay in front of Ekström.
Yeah, we saw a gap of 2.9 on the last time out with Bakrud and Timojanov, so we know roughly how close that's going to be on the merge this time out.
Baciuszka drops it down at turn 3. Easily done. I think he might have tapped the tyres on the way back out there as well, looking at the attitude of that car. 3.3 the gap to Ekström. 2.9 looked like it might be enough. Kevin Hansen goes Joker this time. Where is Ekström? 3.2. Ekström's taken another 10th off him. Coming up over the crest now. Going to come around the outside line. Is Kevin Hansen going to be able to hold him off or not? It's going to depend what they do in terms of tactics. Ekström looks to the inside. Not quite close enough. Kevin Hansen over the line. And Ekström up tight in behind him, so they've got a lap to go. Kevin Joker there didn't need to cover Ekström off, and it's a good job he did, because Ekström with a 48.9, 48.8 though from Kevin Hansen the lap before, so they're both pushing hard.
Yeah, they've both got the pace as well. That's what Kristoffersen and Timmy were lapping at, and they're currently sitting P1 and P2 for this session. It's just now whether they get themselves into a tussle or just go for the times.
Loving the noise out the back. You can hear them opening the throttle up just as hard as they dare, chasing the 10 seconds. Ekström won't try and pass him now, I'm almost certain of that. 3:23.699, the target time for Johan Kristoffersen. Over the big don't cut curb with a big cut into the left comes Kevin Hansen. Ekström a bit more tidy on the way in. Are they close enough? Kevin's on a flyer to 3:24.3, or 3:29 was for his brother. Goes in between 3:96, trying to see where he's going to go. Super close between them. So he's going to go P3. Kevin Hansen just behind Timmy, but we are talking by thousandths. So that was a great drive. And that's Ekström, both the Hansens and Kristoffersson on a very similar pace. Kevin Hansen takes the last race of Q1 for World RX here in Riga, with Ekström P2, Yanni Parson, Rokas Baciuska and Timo Scheider a DNF. Kevin slots into third, Matthias into fifth. So Larsen is sixth, Liam Doran seventh. That's good for him. Timosyanov in eighth place. And what's the spread of time? So it's close at the front, isn't it? I'd say the top five are all very close on pace, but Kristoffersson, look, 7/10 up at the top of the sheet. Carsten with the worst of the starts there. Kevin with a great set. Look at, he didn't see, but Ekström went so wide. He did get a tiny tap from Baciuska, but they're so clever. Like, it's all considered, Dan.
Yeah, they look at every single possibility, don't they? Every single outcome. And being on the outside gives you options. You can cut back if people run wide, or you can try and hang it around the outside. If you're on the inside, you kind of only got one option.
Yeah, you've got to get the whole shot and push everyone out wide, but fantastic race between Ekström and Kevin Hansen. Ekström looking tidy and calm on the way, and Kevin pushing really hard. Kevin got the time. Ekström looking that bit tidier.
Kevin, the car is looking hot. It looks like it was good work out there. Third quickest so far.
Yeah, it was a good run. Finally the start was there, so big credit to the guys working from Oreca to improve our starts. This one was there, hopefully the next ones are too. Then on the run, Matthias was quite close, but he's not fast enough to take us, so I'm happy with that run, P3 I think, so yeah, good start to the day.
Thank you very much.
Right, Q1 done and dusted. A good start to the day, said Kevin Hansen. Here are the standings after Q1. Johan Kristoffersson leading from Timmy Hansen, Kevin Hansen, Niklas Gronholm, Matthias Ekström. I think that might be Kristoffersson's. He's won Q1, I think, every round this year. So I think that's the 5th event in a row that he's won Q1. And it might be wrong. It's a stat from WRX Stats, so he's definitely right. It's my memory that could be wrong. Doran, Timosyanov down in 8th place. Who's inside the top 12? Bakarud, Sabo, Nitish is in, look, at home in Latvia. And Rennie Munich as well. Great drive by him. Okay, we've got a reverse grid scenario. We need to have a look. It's, what is it? Spinner of Doom, Tombola of Trepidation. You call it whatever you like. I don't know if it's going to make that much difference here, to be honest. Fastest first or you know, the other way round. Let's take a look and see what result comes up. I don't know if you guys can hear the track music absolutely hammering away in the background. It's like a full-on night out here, basically. And it's slowest first anyway, so standard order, slowest cars first, and as I say, I don't think it's going to make much difference. If it was wet, maybe, but it's looking like a couple of bone dry days here in Latvia, and it will be slowest first for Q2. Fantastic, beautiful, sunny day in Riga. So we're at the Bikanieki Sport Trass, which is a wonderful Soviet-era racetrack out in a forest park at the edge of the city. Wonderful venue, fantastic track, and we're looking forward to getting some Euro RX underway. This is Euro RX's second round of 3. Super 1600 will be joining us in Barcelona. Double header in Barcelona. If you weren't across that during the week, unfortunately we lost Portugal, so the local, if you're wondering how it works, the local promoter was unable to run the event with the COVID regulations and the way the event was going to be run. They couldn't run it without spectators. Fair enough. That, you know, these things happen. This is a very, very tricky year for everyone. I hope you guys at home are as grateful as we are that any racing is happening at all. So Portugal's gone, which means it is a double header in Barcelona for both World RX and Super 1600. Great start, Hedstrom, but loses a bit of ground then on the run to the first corner. Ben Philip Gunderson gets in front. Gunderson fresh off the back of his first win in Supercar in Rally X Nordic. Hedstrom got into the back of him there into turn 2. Quite an aggressive driver, isn't he, Peter?
Yeah, we've seen him have a few incidents, ruffle up some feathers here and there, but he just needs to play it a bit sensible now, though. We're only in Q1.
Yeah, and of course these guys not on a double header, so they do have a little bit more room to, I suppose, partly they've got to be more aggressive because there's only 3 rounds this year. If you want a result, you've got to go for it, haven't you? But likewise, you can't afford to have a bad one, and he's already had contact at the rear, it looks like. He got into the back of Gunderson, and he's now sideways on the exit everywhere, and Gunderson is just checking out straight away.
Yeah, and well, you can see tyre smoke coming off those tyres. We've already discussed how this track is a tyre game, so that bodywork rubbing on the tyres is going to be making him lose 1 tyre straight away, and it's probably making it overheat a little bit, which is going to be why he's a bit sideways.
I
Look
can't
at
see
that.
him hanging on to that, mate. That's a huge amount of tyre smoke off the back of the car. Is it normally you rub the bodywork away, don't you, over the course of a couple of corners? Is it because the bumper's folded up underneath? Look on the rear left corner, maybe.
Yes, tucked right in. It's a bit of a situation like we saw when Kristoffersson was at Hockenheim with the tyre rubbing. Do you remember the semi-final? One of the best races we've seen, the semi-final.
Absolutely epic one. It was, and then trying desperately to hang on. Yeah, semi-final 2, Hockenheim 15, I
16.
think it was. 16, yeah. You watched it a few times of here.
I was spotting for Liam.
You were. And Liam was in the Mini, wasn't he, with the 1600 at the time?
Yeah,
he was running the smaller engine, I remember. Yeah. Oh, man, good times. Good times.
Someone with a misfire.
Yeah. It's not Gunderson. Gunderson comes past the commentary position now, sounding clean. Hedstrom 2. And it's Karai and Pescovers, but
maybe temporary.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah, we can't identify that as they've come past us. Ben Philip Gunderson, how impressed are you with him?
Yeah, really impressed. He's taken to that supercar like a duck to water, hasn't he? Both him and Oliver Eriksson moving up full time from RX2. I mean, he's got his fair share of championships in touring cars, and he had a lot of event wins in RX2 as well, so you can expect big things from him. He's coming right into the right team as well, lots of data backing him. So yeah, he
also, last time out in Denmark for Nordic, he beat Ollie in the final. Now it was only Ollie was the champion and Ollie had a problem, but likewise Ollie will know that he's quick. Having said that, Ollie leads the championship, Ollie Eriksson, by 7 points from JB de Borg. He had a perfect weekend, basically, in Sweden. He missed 1 qualifying session, but he got TQ, won his semi-final and his final. So Oliver Eriksson...
So I've just seen the tyres gone for Hedstrom now.
Hedstrom with a puncture then, so straight out the back door for him. Gunderson's currently P4 in the standings. He was 4th in Sweden, so just off the podium. He's on 19 points. Only 3 rounds, say here, Latvia and Belgium. Got to make sure you're as far up the standings as you can possibly be at any point this season. So unfortunately, I say due to COVID, you're just never quite sure what's going to happen. So Gunderson, I like in the livery on Gunderson as well. Coming round, stop the clocks. How far is he off the pace of world? He's extraordinarily good. It would be P9 or P10, Dan, we think. 327.8. Just waiting for the time screen to roll over. Would have seen him, 11th. He would have seen him 11th in world. That's not bad, is it, at all?
No, not bad at all, really. And he had a bit of a battle on the first lap as well, so that does cost him a bit of time.
So a little bit of a steering check for goodness on the way in. That's the kind of thing you do, isn't it, when you're unsure of the feel of something at the front end of the car. Gunderson takes race 1 for Euro RX round 2. Tamas Karai P2, Pleskavas P3, and Hedstrom in P4. Hedstrom with a puncture, thanks to contact on the first lap. Right, take a look and see if we can see where Hedstrom gets the rear end contact. So, okay, kind of across the front of Karai. Does he get it in the, Karai maybe into turn 1. Is it already folded up? Yeah, it is. So it must have been contact from the rear on the run to the first corner.
Yeah, it must have been with Karai.
You can hear the cars crashing down out of the back as well. Some drivers have had to squash the jump there at the back of the track. Look at the smoke pouring off the car, because it won't have affected his visibility, but it will have affected his time with the puncture later. Gunderson seems able to take the jump flat, but you then have to get immediately on the brakes.
Yeah, you've got to be really careful, because it's easy to run wide on that hairpin.
5 cars on the grid for race 2. There's only 14 cars total here for Euro RX. I think, again, with it being a short season, if you had a terrible run at the first event, you're going to know that your championship's over. So I think you'll see people taking a risk on it, wanting to be here. Andrea de Borg, Thomas Brinterson, Mandy August, Oliver Eriksson, the championship leader in slot 4, and Andre Oon on the outside. Andrea de Borg was really quick at Holliers but had issues later in the day. Brinterson left on the line. That's a real shame for Thomas. Such a good driver. Ollie Eriksson turns in. Oh, close between. Is he going to get pushed around, Ollie Eriksson? To be fair to Ollie and to De Borg there, I felt Ollie gave De Borg the room and then unfortunately still got turned around. I don't see a lot of blame in that, Dan.
Yeah, no, I mean, we'll have to look at the replay again, I think, to get our heads around it. But yeah, I think Ollie came hot around the outside, got the car sideways, couldn't rotate it. De Borg was there, you know, where can De Borg go? But lucky for Ollie, he's turned the car around. He's not lost too much time. Obviously, he's now back behind Mandy August. And he's, well, I don't know if he can afford to joker yet or not, because he's got Andre Oon behind him. So
he's going to have to get the joker strategy. So he does. He jokes immediately. Now, I mean, he's now really hoping, isn't he, that, well, for a start, he needs to come out in front of Oon. I think he probably will, looking at it. It's going to be close between them. Ollie Eriksson could lose out again here. Andre Oon going to come around the outside. Eriksson on the inside, though, keeping it super tight. He finds the traction. Nicely done. Going to hold the position. So he holds onto the position. That's one job done, but now he really needs Mandy August.
Suspension's broken on the back left.
I think the rear left of the car sitting too low.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, look how high. Unless, yeah, it's not all right, is it?
That's something gone on that car.
I wonder if that happened with the contact in the first corner.
Potentially, or, you know, these jumps have got heavy landings. Look at that from De Borg. You can see how hard they are landing off of these jumps. It's a flat landing pretty much, so it's either the contact or he could have just pushed a little bit too hard off of one of the jumps and just bust it.
Sorry, Andrea de Borg had a good weekend in Sweden. Of course, it was P2. It was JB de Borg who had the problem and dropped down to 5th. So JB won his semi-final and then only got 5th in the final. So Andrea de Borg, it's funny, isn't it? Despite Andrea de Borg, I'm sure in qualifying he had a problem. He was right up there, wasn't he? Because he only ended up qualifying 9th. Then came to, I can't quite remember, you know what I mean? He was right there, and he's only ended up, this is the thing about Rallycross and the way the points score. So De Borg was P2 in Sweden, but he's P5 in the standings because his qualifying was down in 9th place.
Did he have some sort of points reduction?
I can't, he had I'm sure he had a look at the bounce on the rear end, comes in a little bit too hot on the jump, and that's where it cost you. So bounce slightly too high, had to wait on the brakes, couldn't get on the anchors, and has cost himself a bit of time. So Dan, that's where you've got to think about squashing the jump just a tiny bit, lose half a tenth over the jump, but get the braking zone right for the hairpin.
Yeah, what you lose in time makes up in the reduction of risk.
Oh, and bits flying off the bottom of the car, so that's probably just wheel arch liners. I suspect you can see it flapping around underneath the rear left. Pretty much the whole of the underside of these cars is skidded either with material to protect the car, so you're looking at metals or Kevlars to try and protect the underside, but also some of it down just with plastic, and that's to stop the mud getting in, isn't it, in wet conditions?
Yeah, I mean, there's not, they've got holes in the back quarters and all sorts, so you've got to line it with all sorts of stuff, just try and keep it out. Running that car maybe a little bit too soft here, I think. It's bouncing all over the place.
That's 2 laps in a row, the mistake over the jump for me.
Yeah, he's not very tidy, is he?
But you get rattled, don't you? That's the thing. You just get a bit rattled. And De Borg is going to take this, but Dan says it's running a bit soft. You can see it bounced again, unless, of course, he blew the damper with the first big landing, which is another possibility. Andrea de Borg going to take it. Where's Ollie? Ollie coming round, just gets in front.
Impressive with that broken end as well.
Yes, true. See, Ollie's, properly broken. As Ollie Eriksson comes past commentary, the car is really leaning hard over to the left. So, not a good start, literally, off the start line, and then not a good start in terms of his campaign for the weekend. Oh, Eriksson pulling up alongside De Borg, not happy. Eriksson is not happy with Andrea de Borg. I think we'll have a look at that replay again in a second. 3:23.3 is much, 3:32 he's much slower, so he's going to be P2, there you go. De Borg slots into P2. Eriksson goes 4th despite the broken car. So I think just goes to show you that the depth of talent at the front of Euro is pretty quick, but the spread of the field is somewhat not quite so much. I'm hoping we can see the start again. Find out in a second. Here you go, right, watching Eriksson from slot 4, and on the inside Andrea de Borg. So Eriksson, look, comes out from wide, going to cut across. Gives him a bit of room here. To be fair, I don't really see what Andrea's supposed to do there. It's almost like Ollie's dropped it around the outside and then left Andrea with nowhere to go. I mean, for me, he didn't push him round. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we couldn't see an angle of how far over Ollie was, could we? I mean, if we had maybe a camera on the inside there, unfortunately we don't. But if we did have a camera on the inside, we'd be able to see...
be handy, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but we'd be able to see the contact, but... Yeah.
Well, so somebody who will have a camera up high on a pole somewhere in turn 1 is the guys from Chronomoto. So they have all our timing partners. They have cameras all around the circuit which the stewards use to look into any instance they're not happy with. So they have a different angles. The pictures, we can't use them because they're not high quality. They're much lower quality, so you guys wouldn't like it in a broadcast, trust me. But there's a number plate out there, a Hungarian van with RX01 on it, and in the back is a spy, basically, who can look at all the cameras on all the corners, and that's what the stewards will use if they need to see a different angle, one we don't have. Fuchik, Evshen, Ikonen, Oberg and Dubourg. JB on the outside this time, really even start across the grid down towards turn 1. Evshen just edging out on the inside line. JB Dubourg going to slot in P2. Whoa, super close to the back, but Dan Oberg nearly running into the back of Ikonen. Ikonen looks up the inside. I think Ikonen was running the Fiesta, wasn't he, that Nitish won the Euro RX Championship in? I don't know if that's the same car or not now.
Yeah, I think it must still be. Was it the X sort of... It was the X Gronholm. Didn't it come from Gronholm to begin with? It was the M Sport car.
Yes.
That came across. Yeah, that's the one.
But out front, Evshen and Dubourg. Now, this morning, Evshen at one point was top of the timesheets.
Yeah, so obviously Evshen is being run by Kristoffersen Motorsport, so he's in the same tent as Johan. And after their first practice session, he came in front of Johan by, I think it was a bit less than a tenth, but...
yeah, you'd be pleased with that one, wouldn't you? You'd definitely be sending that to your mates as a screenshot. It was Evshen, Kristoffersen. Bearing in mind they're not in the same car, but also I think Evshen have gone out on a slightly cleaner track. That is taking nothing away from him. Again, impressive driver moving up into supercar as you see Ikonen run a little bit deep on the brakes.
Able to hold on to
Fuchik was trying to find a way through. So when you see people jump sideways like that, Dan, I think it's hard for it maybe to understand that if you just leap on the gas pedal of a 600 horsepower supercar, it will do that. You know, you've got the four-wheel drive, and I know we see people light it up and send it and hang on to it, but also on the exit of a corner, it's a dimmer switch, isn't it? Not a light switch. That's what we always used to say when I was doing instructing on circuits and stuff, particularly if I was terrified someone was going to fire me off. It's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't just flick it on, do you?
No, you've got to feed it in slowly. Try not to get it all too much wheel spin, too loose. Good lap times from Sondre Evgen, 2:49s, straight off the back.
Nicely done. So Evgen checking out slightly. What's he doing? Half a second a lap on Dubourg? Well, yeah, 8/10 the first lap, 5/10 the second lap. Then you look at it on track and it's still a tiny little gap, really, isn't it? It's only a few car lengths, but...
I think Dubourg's bringing it back in now. You can see the sector times. He's lost a 10th. Oh, yeah, Dubourg's
yeah, he's just taken another 2/10 off him. So does Evgen maybe have a tiny issue, or has he just had a scrappy lap? Oberg's pulled off to the side of the circuit there on the inside of the normal lap. Evgen hanging a wheel off onto the grass on the run between the last corner and the first corner. Behind, JB Dubourg is keeping it super tidy. Dan?
Bad lap from Sondre, 50.1 compared to his best so far was a 49.4, which was straight off the start.
Yeah, so that's, what is it? There's 7/10 in it, isn't there?
He's just pulled 2/10 back in the first sector. So
capable of the lap times, but got to keep that focus and keep it down. They're both going to joker on the last lap, so there's no danger of losing the position. He will just be thinking about those 7/10 that were lost. But Ben-Philip Gundersen, 3:27.8 is the target time. You know, Evgen could still win this session here, even with a tiny mistake on lap 3. Round the right-hander. Just one corner to go. Can he beat Ben-Philip Gundersen? Evgen over the line. 3:27.2, yes. So Sondre Evgen takes Q1 here of Euro RX, and that is his first win of a session in Euro RX this season. So Evgen he was qualified third in Hollius Gundersen qualified 5th. Neither of them won a session, but it is Evjen who wins this one. JB de Borg in 2nd, Ikonen, Fucik and Oberg with a DNF. Evjen goes to the top of the table, so it's a Norwegian 1-2, followed then by the French de Borg brothers, JB edging out Andrea, then Karai, Ikonen, Fucik and Ollie Eriksson, the championship leader, down in 8th. But long way to go. Remember, they're doing 4 qualifying sessions over the course of the 2 days.
Have a look at the start here for Evjen. Didn't get the best of starts. De Borgen is outside getting the run, but giving him a lot of space there. That was generous of him, but also required really from the first race. He knows that Evjen's quick.
Don't chuck it away, but it's having that head on you, isn't it? You don't have to win every battle.
No, not at all. And well, we know De Borg's got a lot of experience. He's got podium in the World Championship before, hasn't he?
Yeah, Loiac, that was in the...
He was in the C4, wasn't he then?
Yeah, I think it was, yeah. I remember heading down to his tent. They were absolutely made up with it. You know, a podium at home in France against a strong World Championship field. They then dropped back, I think, into Euro. Fans are getting head off now for a bite to eat. I'd like a bite to eat, actually. I'm just looking at how long we've got. Not long enough, Dan.
No, darn it.
Not long enough. Marshals are getting a little break as well. That is Q1 done and dusted from World and Euro. What are you seeing there, Dan?
Just having a look at the gravel section there. You could see a bit of a clean line developing there. You could see on the outside of the racing line lots of loose gravel there. So the track is going to be developing a tiny bit. It's not going to be getting quicker, but it's going to be getting slower offline compared to what it was.
There are the marks on the landing for the jump. Look at where they are. They're right down at the bottom on the flat. And that's the other thing, is if you land on a downslope, you can land as hard and as long as you want. And I think, you know, if it would be nice to extend the downslope all the way into the braking zone, then you could fly it really hard. But that's part of it. The design of that jump is that you've got to squash it a little bit to get it right.
Yeah, and even if you did have a downward slope, you wouldn't be able to stop in time for the hairpin if you were sending it.
Yeah, so you got to get it right. Wow. Right, there's Neil Cole is... I don't know where he is, actually. Let's go and find him.
Well, here I am. I'm in the paddock, and the 2 stars are on the back of Jan Kristoffersen's car. There he is over there. And it's got the rest of the paddock wanting to work out how they can catch him again, because, of course, he has just gone fastest in qualifying 1. Join us again. It's only half an hour until qualifying 2, and in that live stream, we will also see qualifying 1 for Project E. But thank you very much for watching us. Make sure you share this as widely as you can, and we'll join you again in about half an hour. Thanks and goodbye.